Welcome back on this 1st of January. President Obama has always made a point to assure Americans that his #1 priority is the economic recovery.
Growing the economy should be our #1 priority. Our recovery still needs to build more strength, so it's important that we get it right in Washington. Putting people back to work, making sure the economy is working for everybody, building the middle class, making sure they're secure, that's my highest priority.
But could policies like Obamacare and the new Fed Reserve leadership ruin the economy, not fix it? Here to weigh in is Professor of Business at the University of Maryland, economist Peter Morici, who just wrote a new piece about this exact issue. Peter, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
So perhaps it won't be a happy new year for our economy if you say some of these things, which maybe we haven't seen or we haven't actually paid much attention to, could ruin the economy, like Obamacare. You call it a train wreck. How could it slow or even ruin the economy this year?
Well, let's remember that healthcare is $2.6 trillion, the size of all of France. And insurance companies not getting the premiums because people aren't properly signed up, but yet having to pay the claims. It could easily bankrupt them, along with the fact they just don't have enough young people who are being implicitly taxed. Higher health insurance rates and so forth will make it more difficult people to spend on essentials and slow the economy a bit.
What about China for investment? We heard for years, you got to invest in China. All the manufacturing, all of the industry that's happening in China. You say that China's banking blunders could hurt us. How so?
Absolutely. China's going through a financial crisis similar to the one that we had in 2008. The real question is, do they have a Lehman Brothers? Most of their big banks have large loans that aren't working to companies that export to the United States that really, are charging less than it costs to make the stuff. That's why it's so cheap at the Walmart. And their provincial governments have borrowed huge amounts of money. They're all like the city of Detroit, essentially insolvent because they borrowed huge amounts of money for projects that don't pay out, and so they can't pay off their loans. It could easily crash, and if it does, it will ripple right through our financial system as well. So the question is, how does the Federal Reserve respond to all this?
President Obama has praised Ben Bernanke, of course, chairman of the Federal Reserve, but now we've got Janet Yellen in there. You predict some failures of the Federal Reserve could set us back.
Well, absolutely. Janet Yellen is a very different personality than Ben Bernanke. If you recall, he said, I can't bail out General Motors. That's industrial policy. But she might feel very differently about bailing out the insurance companies or the big companies that get trashed in China. Just about every big multinational in the United States, General Motors, GE, and so forth, are heavily invested in China. If that place crashes, they're in trouble. Well, if she starts bailing them out, we're on the road to being a Latin American republic in the 1970s, where you have basically lots of graft and corruption by virtue of so much government money floating around. It's not just the inflation. Government money encourages corruption, inefficiency, and wherever that's been done, economies grow very slowly, and you have basically the Italian problem. Double-digit unemployment forever.
Peter, do you think, just real quickly, do you think we're going to be bailing out the insurance companies?
I think we may be. No one really knows just how short of cash they are. But think about this. All those people whose paperwork doesn't go through properly, those are people that can't get their health insurance claims, but the president is going to twist the insurance companies' arms to pay them anyway. Remember, those insurance companies won't be getting their premiums. They will not be able to pay because they won't have the mechanism. Where is that money going to come from? Also, they set rates on the basis of having lots of young people sign up, and we know that they are not doing that, so they're going to be short of cash.
Look into your future, your crystal ball. Something tells me we may be bailing those guys out. Peter Morici, Happy New Year to you. Great to see you as always. Thanks so much.
Take care.